At first glance, you might be forgiven for thinking that nothing has changed in Safari in iOS 17, but you'd be wrong. The browser has actually seen some pretty major quality of life improvements. So in this video, I'm going to show you all of the ones that I think you need to know about. Stick with me to the end of the video if you're someone who enjoys using Safari, as Apple's default browser just got much better. Okay, let's get into it. In my opinion, the most significant change in Safari this year is the inclusion of profiles. Profiles allow you to have essentially separate versions of Safari on your device for the different things that you're likely to use Safari for. So the most obvious examples are going to be personal use, work use, and educational use, but you can customize and name each profile as you wish. So if you want to get more granular and specific than that, you can. To create a new profile, we head into Settings, then Safari. Scroll down, and on iOS 17, you'll see this new section called Profiles. If you've not yet created one, you can see that the option available is New Profile, so we're going to tap on that. But before we do, notice that Apple explained to you what this is. A profile will contain history, cookies, and website data specific to that profile. So once we've tapped on New Profile, the first thing we're going to do is give this profile a name. We'll say that we're going to be using this profile for education, so I'll tap into Name and call it School. Then you can choose an image for it, either from the available ones that you can see on this screen, or by tapping the ellipsis to choose from additional options. The same goes for the color scheme for this profile, and for this example, I'm going to choose a color that's not available in this menu. I'll pick green for this example. Down at the bottom of the screen, we've then got settings for this profile. We can choose where we'd like to store favorites for this profile. By default, the profile has created its own school folder, so I'm happy with that. And then we can choose what we'd like to happen when we open a new tab. Choose Done when you're happy with the profile that you've just created, and then let me show you how and why this feature is so useful. If we go back to Safari and tap the tabs icon in the bottom right of the screen, you can see that we've got this profile button in the bottom center of Safari. The icon tells me that we're currently in the personal profile, but if I tap on that, you can then see at the bottom of this window that appears that I can change my profile. I'll tap on that and change this to the school profile that we just created. And you can see that to begin with, not much has changed. But what I'm now going to do is in the background, I'm going to log into a Google account. I'll obviously skip past the part of me actually logging in, but if you look now, you can see the C icon indicating that I've logged into this particular Google account. Now watch what happens if I tap the tab button, then tap on profile and change this from school back to personal and then go to Google. Notice that it's not logged in. And just to really hammer the point home, let's go back to the school profile and you can see that again, we're logged into Google on that school profile. This by itself is a really great example of how you can use the profiles feature in Safari. If you're someone who has certain websites or web apps that you log into with different profiles, the fact that you can now bounce between them at the push of a button is extremely useful. Another aspect of this feature is your browsing history, which is now tied to your profile. So to illustrate this, on my personal profile, I've visited a couple of websites, and if you look at the history, notice that it says personal history and shows me the pages that I recently visited. If I then change my profile to school and then head to my browsing history, you can see that the history looks totally different here. The one area where I honestly thought this would work that it doesn't is your reading list. To me, it would make sense to be able to add articles to a specific reading list relevant to the profile that you're using, but it does seem that your reading list is one generic list, regardless of which profile you're using. To edit or delete a profile in Safari, open Settings, then head to Safari and scroll down to the Profile section. Tap on the name of the profile that you wish to either edit or delete. Here you can edit the profile just by changing the relevant information in the top half of the screen, or you can tap on Delete Profile and then confirm to delete the profile. By the way, if you prefer to have content like this in a written format, there's a PDF version of this video complete with screenshots, and you can access it along with all other PDFs I've created, plus future ones for just $5 a month. You can either scan the QR code that you can see on screen, or follow the link in the description of this video to learn more. Your private browsing is now extra private thanks to a new feature in iOS 17. To illustrate this, I'll open a new private browsing tab, and we'll just use it to navigate to Google. With that done, I'll now lock the iPhone as if I was putting the phone down on the table. And then you can see that when I unlock the phone, which I would do with Face ID, and then tap on Safari, it opens the private browsing tab because that's what I last had opened. but you can see that it's locked the tab, and the only way that I can unlock it is to first tap the unlock button and then use Face ID. So yeah, whatever you use your private browsing for, you can now rest assured that it is more private than ever. In addition to keeping your private browsing locked when you lock your iPhone, Apple have made some additional improvements to private browsing in general. Specifically, they're employing what they're calling advanced tracking and fingerprinting protections, aimed at preventing websites from using the latest techniques to track or identify your device, which, when you consider you're trying to browse privately in the first place, is no bad thing. To check your settings for this, head to Settings, then Safari, then scroll all the way down and choose Advanced. In here, you'll see the Advanced Tracking and Fingerprinting Protection section. Tap into that, and you can either disable this feature or have it for private browsing only, or have it enabled for all of the browsing that you do. You can choose the search engine that you'd like to use as your default. You've been able to do that for a while now, but you can now choose a different search engine for your private browsing if you wish. To do this, open Settings and choose Safari. If you tap into Private Search Engine, you can either leave it as is, in other words, the same as your main search engine, or you can choose from one of the other search engines available. By the way, if you're enjoying the content here, why not consider signing up to my free newsletter, The Proper Weekly, which you can do via the link in the description of this video or by scanning the QR code on screen now. The newsletter goes out each Friday, and I include some tech news from the week, a behind the scenes of what's happening here on the channel, as well as a tip for an item in the Apple ecosystem. Search in Safari has seen some improvements, and although they're not glaringly obvious, you can see from the examples here that everything does look better, with more accurate and relevant results appearing in the search results, and anecdotally I can tell you that it is a little bit quicker as well. So definitely a bit of a performance tweak rather than anything desperately exciting, but if you use Safari as your main browser, you're definitely going to see some quality of life improvements here. Your iPhone has been able to autofill codes that you receive as messages for a while now, and it's an insanely handy feature, one of those not so glamorous things that your phone can do that saves you a load of hassle. But if companies have been sending you verification codes via email, you've not been able to make use of this feature. That changes in iOS 17, with your phone able to automatically input verification codes that you receive in the Mail app. A feature that's going to make a huge quality of life improvement to people who need to access secure sites with other people is the ability to now create a group of trusted contacts that you can share passwords with using iCloud Keychain. To do this, open Settings and scroll down to Passwords. You'll unlock this part of your iPhone using Face or Touch ID. On the next screen in the Share Passwords and Passkeys section, tap on Get Started. You'll then begin creating your passwords group. Start by giving it a name, and you can then tap on Add People to add people from your contacts list to share these passwords with. Once you've added the people you want to add to this password group, tap on Create in the upper right corner of the screen. On this next screen, you can tap to choose the passwords and passkeys that you'd like to share in this group. You don't have to share everything. Once you've selected the passwords you wish to include, tap Move in the upper right of the screen. This is because you're moving these passwords from your personal iCloud keychain into this shared group. You can see that in this example, my iPhone has suggested that I let the person I'm sharing with know that I've shared passwords with them via message. You don't have to do this, but it is there if you'd like to use it. And that's it, the passwords have been shared with your group. Any changes that you make to the password moving forward will be updated to reflect for all members of the group, and the group page that we created is also where you'd go to in order to manage the members of your group, and you can swipe to delete passwords from the group if you like. So there you go, those are what I believe are the most significant improvements in Safari in iOS 17. What do you think? Anything here that you're particularly pleased about, or anything that you still feel is missing? Drop me a comment and let me know. And as ever, if you found this video useful, do please consider leaving me a like and subscribing to my channel for more content like this in the future. See you on the next video.